Dreamscape presents The Darkness Around Her by Neil White, narrated by Johnny Heller. Chapter 1. Lizzie marched along the unlit towpath. She was angry, hurt. She wiped tears from her eyes, and the warm blood that streamed from her swollen nose smeared across her hand and coated her lip. The town was quieter now. The New Year fireworks had finished, and people were starting to queue for taxis home. Not Lizzie, though. She'd bolted for the darkness, just to get away, too ashamed to head into the bright lights. The canal brought in on an aqueduct, curved high above the town, clinging to the steep side of one of the many hills that surrounded Highford, before it disappeared into the valley on the other side and made its way across the Pennines. The glow of the town centre streetlights didn't make it this far. The water was black and still, catching only the gleam of the moon. Canal barges were moored in the distance. The smell of their wood smoke in the air told her they were occupied, and another one cruised towards her, its headlight just like a torch beam, but too far away to illuminate her path. She was alone in the dark. Then she heard a noise. She stopped, looked back, strained to hear it again, needing the reassurance that it was just rubbish, like the rustle of a plastic bag blown against a fence. It was more than that, though, more like the crunch of footsteps on gravel. She peered into the darkness, a tingle of fear making her senses keen. Only shadows and silence greeted her. Lizzie turned around, panic rising, looking for a way off the towpath, but she knew it was pointless. High fences that protected the scrapyard and small workshops that lined the canal kept her from a quick exit, razor wire and rolls across the top. She couldn't go back, she knew that. He'd be waiting for her. She was there because of him. She quickened her step. Her heels rang loudly on the cobbles, the sound skimming across the water and echoing from the wall on the other side. Dread tightened her chest, made her breath come faster. All she had to do was keep going. There was a low bridge ahead that would take her to an estate on the other side, built on a hill that rose steeply. She could aim for that and find a way home. She cursed him. It had been just another stupid argument. He'd started it, as always. Too much booze fueling his jealousy, the beast that was always lurking. He'd accused her of looking at someone else. The idiot just didn't get it. He was pushing her to leave, with his snide remarks, the put-downs, saying how she'd let herself go, but then accused her of tarting herself up for other men whenever she made an effort. Didn't he get the irony? She went to wipe more tears from her cheek, but stopped herself. Let them fall. It had been good once. Beautiful Liam, kind Liam. The flowers, the messages, the lies. There had been punches before tonight, digs into her back that made her cough in pain, leaving bruises only he saw. There'd been the late-night beatings, of course, blurred by alcohol, where she'd called the police, but had backed down by the time they arrived, somehow persuaded that he'd change, that the good times made up for the bad. This time had been different, because it had been in public, outside the pub, people seeing her go down, the stars blurring into white streaks as she went backwards, ending with a thump on the ground of the car park. Another night out ending in pain. No more. She'd had enough. This time she wasn't going back. All she could think of was to get away, to keep running. Customers from the pub had blocked his way as she pushed herself up from the ground, but that wouldn't last. No one could take him on. He was too big, too angry, his shoulders hunched, his body tensed, fists clenched, his shouts loud. She'd fled to the sanctuary of the towpath, hoping he wouldn't see where she'd gone. There was a dark shape ahead, making her slow down, but it resolved into a bench as she got closer. There'd been no more noises. It had been her imagination. She stopped to sit down. She needed to calm herself and work out what to do. She couldn't go back to his place, but she had clothes there and jewellery. He had photographs of her, intimate ones. He'd use them against her. That shouldn't matter. Leaving didn't have to be harder than staying. Get her stuff, go, stay out of town. The streets on the other side of the low bridge weren't far away, lining the higher slope on the other side. The town centre just a swirl of orange lights below. The streets meant safety, but she needed to steady her nerves, to work out her next move. It got dark ahead before it got brighter, and there was something about the shadows ahead that made her nervous. She took a cigarette